Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double 18 podcast. I'm your host, Steven Negishi, and with me, as always, is my co-host, the associate editor of sports blog, Awful Announcing. It is Ken Fang. Ken, good evening. I appreciate you joining me on this Monday night. How are you?
Good to be on with you. And just to let you all know, this normally we go. I'm sorry, my home pod just went off. I'm sorry about that. We have a normally we do 1 hour. Tonight we're just going to do a short half-hour show, but we'll try to fit in as many subjects as we can.
I apologize for that, Ken. I'm actually in a business trip, and my client is about to be kicked out of his room where he's doing the meeting in about a half an hour or so. So we'll try and squeeze in as much as possible. So we apologize for normally a shorter show than regularly. But, Ken's got to get up early in the morning as well. So this will hopefully help him as well. All right, let's start with the big news over the weekend, Ken. The NBA dropped a bombshell trade news over the weekend, starting with the there's two trades, but the one is obviously the one that's everybody buzzing. It's Luca Doncic for Anothy Davis trade. I have friends who are in the Dallas media market. Shout out to Ben Rogers and Jeff Skinwade, who I've had, you and I interviewed Jeff Skinwade several years back as a Mavericks network reporter, and both Ben and Skin does a very popular radio show, Ben and Skin, on 97.1 The Eagle, which is a rock station. And, the pulse of the city, as somebody who I've lived there for several years, and I have fond memories and a lot of friends still in that area. And many Mavericks fans are not taking it very, very well, and rightfully so. Give me your thoughts on this trade and, the way that the fans are reacting, especially in Dallas, Ken.
I can't blame them, to be honest with you. I mean, nobody saw this coming. I mean, came, I think, Friday night at 10 o'clock, Steven?
No, this was Saturday at 10.
Saturday. Okay. So it came very, very late. And the fact is that when Shams Charania came out with his with breaking this, no one thought this was real. Everybody thought he was hacked. And everyone said, oh, there's no way this happened. There's no way this is real. But indeed, it was real. So, and then Shams had to put a follow-up tweet and said, no, it's real. I haven't been hacked. So it was so bizarre. The fact is though, now that we're hearing the fallout of this, Steven, the fact is that maybe the Mavericks felt that, and Luca Doncic is coming up on a max contract at the end of the season. He's eligible to sign it. And as Brian Windhorst has pointed this out on the Dan Patrick Show earlier today, usually teams will celebrate the fact that they're going to sign a 5-year max contract. We've seen it with other teams before. Jason Tatum's going to sign one with the Boston Celtics. He's going to have a very big contract. But in this case, and I'll end this real quick so you can come in. The fact is, Steven, is that maybe the fact that Dallas Mavericks felt that they couldn't win a championship with Luka Doncic. And also, don't forget, the Mavericks were in the finals last season. And also, Doncic was hurt coming into this season. So maybe they saw something in the fact that they felt like they couldn't win with him, even though he's coming up on a max contract coming up this season. And now the Lakers don't have to deal with that. You sign a max contract after 5 years. Now the Lakers can sign him on the cheap, as a matter of fact. So it's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah. The Lakers always get their way, it seems like, historically. Magic, Kareem, they've moved on to, Kobe, Shaq, and then, LeBron, AD, and now Luka Doncic. So, all these talks about, Doncic being out of shape, it's been, very much highlighted. He's always had some injury problems throughout his career. But for that reason to be used as a reason to trade Doncic seems suspicious. And needless to say, the Dallas Mavericks fans are, not taking it very, very well. You saw the photos of, fans and surrounding the AAC, um, throwing a funeral, and it's just crazy. And at the same time, I understand how the fans are reacting, because it's a legitimate the fans are up in arms, because this was a legitimate star player that they were looking for since Dirk Nowitzki retired.
Right. Yeah, and and not only that, let's also mention that Mark Cuban is no longer in the mix, even though his name is still associated. He basically sold most of his share
Right.
to the from the Dallas Mavericks, and he's no longer in the day-to-day operations. So I think that whenever the management came in and made this decision, Stephen, Mark Cuban doesn't have his hands on this as much as he used to have. Now, whether
Right. He has the operation side still after his sale, but he doesn't do the day-to-day operations like he used to. So.
Yeah, and he said he didn't know about this. So, and what's interesting too, normally we get a hint that this is happening. Whether it was back when Adrian Wojnarowski was around, he would give a hint. He would know, but nobody knew. Sharms didn't know. Nobody knew. When Brian Windhorst was on again with Dan Patrick today, he said that normally we get an inkling. There was no inkling. Nobody knew about this. Not even the players knew. There's, I think, just a few people inside. I mean, Jason Kidd said he didn't even know. So he, of course, the coach of the Mavericks. So it's very interesting to see how this happens, Stephen. There's going to be ramifications throughout the league on this as well. As you mentioned, the Lakers just seem to know how to make their way and make their deals. So we'll it's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially with the league. I don't think the Lakers have to be considered favorites yet, because they still have an old LeBron there. But I think that they would have probably go deeper in the playoffs now that they don't have Anthony Davis there. But now you have to establish a chemistry between Luca Doncic and LeBron. And we know that LeBron's not going to be there much longer, maybe 1 or 2 more years, maybe 2 or 3 more years. Now the Lakers have pretty much sewn up their future with a very young Luca Doncic, and then hand it off when LeBron is done.
Right. And it's not too far away, maybe in a year or two, when LeBron probably decides to retire for good. And, I think the Lakers are, taking a massive gamble themselves. Actually, the Mavericks are too, because if you're complaining about Doncic's, his inability to stay healthy because of his lack of commitment to, being healthy, and, his, diet and all that other stuff, then trading him for even older and even more fragile Anthony Davis makes absolutely no sense, in my opinion. So Nico Harrison's explanation of the trade is a total nonsense. And again, this is a trade that could ultimately define the franchise, especially for a team like Dallas. And there have been some crazy rumors about them relocating to Las Vegas. That's been on the back burner because the casino, how do I say this? A bill is probably on the table. And one of the reasons Cuban sold his majority of his team share to Miriam Adelson, who is the wife of the Sheldon Adelson, who is the head of the Wynn Casino Group based out of Vegas. So Cuban decided to sell the Adelsons in hopes of maybe lobbying to get the bill passed. But if that doesn't pass, there's an avenue for Mavs to maybe relocate to Vegas and start with a new name, leave the Mavericks in Dallas, kind of like what happened with your Browns, when they went to Baltimore and became the Ravens, and then they got the Browns,
Right.
the franchise 3 years later. I could see that happening because I think NBA expansion is still pretty much on the table, whether the Vegas gets it or if the Vegas ends up getting the Mavs, just like they've got it with the the Raiders and the Athletics. There could be something that's on the back burner that's not being talked about. Maybe something that could happen 5-6 years from now, which seems wild in anybody's imagination, Ken.
Yeah, I don't know much about that. I can't really talk about it. So I've not heard about what that situation is like about Dallas moving to Las Vegas. So I'm not going to comment on it.
Okay. The other trade, of course, quickly, three-way trade involving San Antonio, Utah, and Chicago yesterday. The biggest winner in all of this, of course, is the San Antonio Spurs, who needed a point guard to play with Victor Wembanyama, and they got the best one out there in DeAron Fox from Sacramento. And it's wild to think about, bringing the story back to the Mavs. They only got one number one pick. That's 2029. I don't think it's protected at all. I think it goes to Dallas either way. Whereas Sacramento got like multiple first round picks for DeAron Fox, when they got it from San Antonio. So I think it goes to show that Dallas did a terrible, terrible business, unloading Luca Doncic, where they could have gotten at least 5 draft picks, or should have gotten at least 5 draft picks for somebody like Luca, regardless of, whether it's top 10, top 20 protected or not, because, you don't give up a player of Doncic's caliber for only one number one pick and, Anthony Davis and, of course, Max Christie, who barely anybody knows at this point. So, again, we'll see. The Lakers are making a gamble, but the Dallas is making an even bigger gamble. That the PR nightmare that they're going to be dealing with the repercussion of trading their franchise star player and Luca Doncic. So, it will be interesting to see if, this trade works out for Dallas, or they're going to learn to regret making this trade just because of his, terrible commitment to, staying healthy and being in shape and so forth. Right. All right, Ken, let's move on to the second biggest the topic, and I'm sure this is probably something more right up your alley. Browns All-Pro defensive end Myles Garrett made a statement this morning asking for a trade out of the Cleveland Browns organization. Ken, when you heard this news this morning, was this something that you kind of expected, or was this something like out of the blue, like we were discussing with the AD Luca Doncic trade?
Steven, you could see Myles Garrett being frustrated with the Cleveland Browns. I think going back to when Deshaun Watson got hurt, and there was no real effort to try to get any decent players, and especially during the trade deadline, not even try to do sellers. I mean, yes, Cleveland made a move in which they traded one of their players to Detroit, but still, I have to say, Steven, Cleveland Browns is a sad story of a franchise. You have Jimmy Haslam and his wife. They're trying to seek a new stadium outside of Cleveland. And it's just really
just to
ridiculous.
Make sure, folks, we're not talking like a relocation that happened like close to 30 years ago. They're not going to play in another city in another state. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, but they're trying to locate outside of Cleveland in the suburbs. They want a dome stadium. This is not helping. Okay, I'm very fed up of this ownership. Steven, if you've been watching the show for quite some time, you'll know that I'm very frustrated with this ownership. I'm very frustrated with the management, the front office. the coaching. I'm pretty much frustrated about everything. But you have Myles Garrett, who has played his heart and soul out for this franchise. He's one of the best defensive players in the National Football League. He is he's done everything that the team has asked for. He went to the playoff. He almost single-handedly brought the Browns to the playoffs a couple seasons ago, and now we have this. I'm just so sad for him. But Diane Rossini of The Athletic reported that he asked for a trade beforehand. He just decided to make it public today. So I don't blame him. He wants to play in a championship. Every player wants to play for a championship. They don't want to keep playing in a sad state and be like a guy you know quite well, Dick Butkus, who played on so many bad teams in Chicago, a one-win team, never got out of there, and still was admired for his play, but never got to play for a championship. Myles Garrett doesn't want to be that guy, and I don't blame him. The Cleveland Browns would do best for him by trading him now in his prime, getting some draft picks for him, and finding a way to accommodate one of the best players in the National Football League right now. He dominates play on the line. He has done a great job, especially when they play the Steelers or the Ravens. But, I feel bad for him. I really do. And, I'm going to say that I think he's very frustrated over the fact that he saw Deshaun Watson come in. I think he also saw very frustrated over management as well. So quickly, Steven, I know we have to get to other subjects, but I guess got to say that I don't blame Deshaun Watson at all. I mean, I don't blame Myles Garrett at all for asking for a trade.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't blame him at all. I think, he is close to entering year 10 in the NFL, and he's 28, coming into 29 very, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And, he realizes that his championship windows are very, very close to closing, which is understandable. No amount of money can, replace or replicate the feeling of winning a Super Bowl title. At the end of the day, that's what you're going to be known and defined for your career, without question. We've seen so many veteran players missed out on that opportunity out of loyalty in every sport. There's no question about that. There's nothing wrong with loyalty either. But at the same time, when you're, with all due respect, when your franchise is, as dysfunctional as Cleveland has been, it's understandable for a player like Garrett to say, you know what, I need to get the hell out of here because I know my Super Bowl window is going to close very, very soon, maybe within the next 3 to 4 years. So, it will be very, very interesting. The Cleveland, of course, said that they're not going to trade Myles Garrett. Of course, they would say that, but it's going to be a staring contest all season long for both organizations because I don't think neither side is going to budge. I don't think Garrett is going to report to training camp, like OTAs either. Let's see how long this is going to last. But the compensation certainly is very much similar to what Khalil Mack, when Raiders traded Mack to the Bears a couple of years ago. 2 first-round picks for sure. Maybe a second or third or whatever. Maybe a player, who knows? But that's probably where the baseline is. I think, Cleveland, because they need at quarterback, they need to probably start to stockpiling drafts and not go all in on this year's draft when it comes to quarterback because there isn't a good quarterback like we saw last year. So, they might have to stick with somebody like Kirk Cousins or just somebody else in the draft just to get by and then maybe wait for 2026 or 27 or who knows. But, this is an interesting offseason for Cleveland Browns and your team, Ken. Certainly, Myles Garrett demanding a trade could impact, not only this upcoming season, but in the future season as well. So
Absolutely.
Let's see what happens. Whoever budgets first, and I have a feeling that the Browns might have to.
They're going to have.
Yeah, they have to probably bend backwards to accommodate Garrett's request for sure.
Yep. Let's go to another subject. We talked last month about a Fox Sports lawsuit involving a former hairdresser who was harassed and she named an executive, Charlie Dixon. Another lawsuit has come forward, and this one from On Air Talent. I happen to, and I'm going to be very careful because I know this person, Julie Stewart-Binks. She has alleged that the same person, Dixon, assaulted her in a hotel room. This during Fox's Super Bowl coverage back in 2016 in Santa Clara. Now, this is a horrible situation. Charlie Dixon, The Athletic, has reported that Dixon has at least now been put on administrative leave. He was supposed to lead Fox Sports's Super Bowl coverage in New Orleans. Fox has not commented on this, but Katie Strain, who has been a great reporter on this, has been reported the original lawsuit and now has reported on this particular story. Julie Stewart-Binks said that in addition to this, he said that Julie Stewart-Binks wasn't, attractive enough, wasn't, was a non-entity. Her contract was coming up in 2016. She had just been hired. She had been hired by Fox Sports 1 out of Canada because she was been working in Canada in the Canadian sports networks there. And I thought she did a fantastic job in covering the World Cup, the Women's World Cup in 2014.
Right.
2013 for Fox Sports and covering all that. She did a lot of things that they asked for. But then Charlie Dixon comes in and says, look, if you don't do what, if you don't, you're not attractive enough, you don't really mean enough. So she actually did a bit with Rob Gronkowski during Jason Whitlock's show, which got heavily criticized, in which she basically allowed Gronkowski to do a lap dance on her lap. She thought that she would, if she did that, she would get in Dixon's good graces. It didn't end up helping her because her contract was dropped. But Julie has done a fantastic job in getting back. She did the Olympics last year for CBC in Canada. She also works for MSG Net. She also has done freelance work. She works for SNY in New York, and she's also had her own show on Fubo Sports. I just have to say that we'll see what happens with Charlie Dixon. Of course, his both lawsuits name him and Joy Taylor. The fact that he probably had a relationship with her, it's all alleged. It's in a lawsuit. But this is just a horrible situation, Steven. And again, I'm treading very carefully because I know Julie Stewart-Binks. I wish her nothing but the best of luck. I reached out to her and sent her a message. I'm not going to say what it was, but I don't want her to be interviewed or anything like that. I just wanted to show her my support. But also, too, this is just a horrible situation. And, we'll see what happens with Charlie Dixon. He replaced Jamie Horowitz, who was basically let go by Fox for something similar for being sexual harassment. So, you don't want to say that, this is a pattern at Fox, but you just want to say that, people like this, they keep getting hired and women don't feel safe in the workplace and they have to put up with stuff like this. So, and let's see what Fox does with Charlie Dixon after their own internal investigation.
Right. I touched on this briefly several shows ago about the lawsuit, which was brought up by hairdresser Nushin Faraj about, lawsuit about where she was harassed by, I believe, Dixon. And then this is where Joy Taylor comes in, because Taylor was, actually Faraj was her, I think, a hairstylist at Fox.
Yep.
And Taylor told her to basically suck it up or just put up with it. And that was a completely, unacceptable. It's sometimes, we talk like people like Dixon, who is seems like have a predatory behavior himself. But then we hear when we hear stories about women trying to coerce or at least try to talk people out of talking or filing a lawsuit because they want to maintain their status or they want to maintain power within that organization. You hear stories about that all the time, Ken. It's a problem not just with men, but with also women like Joy Taylor, who sucks up, no pun intended, to people like Charlie Dixon in a powerful position just to maintain their statuses as well.
Well, again, this is all alleged, but according to Faraj, she was groped at a party that was off. I was off the Fox Sports campus, and it was at a birthday party. She said she was groped. She told Joy Taylor because she knew that she was involved with Dixon and was hoping to get some support. And as you mentioned, Taylor allegedly said, get over it. So we don't know that, but of course, Joy Taylor remains on the air at Fox, and it doesn't look good for her. People have come in on this left and right. Shannon Sharp has weighed in on it. A lot of other people, Stephen A. Smith, have weighed in on it. People say yes or no. Of course, also named in the lawsuit with Faraj's lawsuit is Skip Bayless, who allegedly offered her $1.5 million for sex. Now, again, this is all alleged. I'm not going to say one way or the other which way I believe, because again, let's let that play out in the courts. But I have to say that I'll give my support to Julie Stewart-Banks. She's someone I know. I just certainly hope nothing but the best, and also for the hairdresser as well. And let's let this play out. Let's see what happens with Charlie Dixon, Stephen, because this is not good. It's not a good look for Fox. It's not a good look for Joy Taylor, and it's not a good look for Skip Bayless either. And we'll see what happens. And hopefully, I don't know if it's going to lead to a settlement. I don't know if it's going to go to court or not. But let's see what happens and see where it goes from here.
All right, we got about a minute left. Let's do our quick Super Bowl predictions, Ken. I'll start with with this game. I'm in the Philadelphia area, so obviously people are psyched and pumped up. They're definitely looking forward to the revenge of the game that happened 2 years ago, which kind of ended in a sour taste.
Controversial action, bad call, everything.
Absolutely, and that's been a talk of the sports radio here because they're worried that they might get screwed again. So my quick prediction is that the Chiefs, whether you like it or not, they're still the defending champions, and whether they're getting the beneficial of the refs or not, until they get knocked out, they remain the champion. And as I hate to make this prediction since I'm in the Philly area, but I'm going to go 30-27. I think it's going to be a very close competitive game, and it might have to come down to the kick of a field goal. Neither team, the kickers have struggled a little bit due to inconsistencies and injuries and everything. I'm going to go with Kansas City winning in a close one, 30-27.
Here's my prediction. I said at the beginning of Philadelphia was going to be my Super Bowl pick. I'm going to stay with that. I think I said Buffalo would be in this game. I know that we should know not to pick against Patrick Mahomes. I understand that. But I think that Saquon Barkley is going to run for almost 200 yards. He's going to have 3 touchdowns. This defense is one of the best defenses in the National Football League, and I think they're not going to be able to sack Patrick Mahomes because Mahomes just knows what to do. But I think they're going to give him a hard time. And I think they're going to cover the receivers very well. I say the Philadelphia Eagles will win Super Bowl 59 by a score of 27-14. That's what I'm going to go with, Steven. I know that Kansas City can score. I know Travis Kelce is a great weapon. But I think Philadelphia will find a way to win this game. And I know what we say about Andy Reid on a bye week. We all know that. We all know this, and he's great at this, and I understand it. But I'm going to say that Philadelphia gets its revenge 27-14. Steven, if I lose this prediction, I will take a pie in the face, and I'm willing to let you do it to me, no matter what when it comes.
Well, we don't live close enough for that, unfortunately. But listen, I'll let you eat a crow for that.
We'll put it on video, and we'll put it on. You can do a pie, do a pie in the face for me. So that's
or we'll let a colleague, somebody from your work, do that for you or something like that. But anyway, Ken, I appreciate you doing this on such short notice, and it's a short than usual. I appreciate the more than 170 people who is tuning into our live stream tonight. I appreciate you joining us. For those who are just joining us shortly, I have to leave shortly because I'm at a client site, and client is at a meeting, but they're expected to be kicked out shortly because of the rules within the building. So, Ken, I appreciate you doing this. Hopefully, we'll do this again the day after Super Bowl, or maybe, I probably, because Super Bowl goes late all the way till 10. I don't think neither one of us has the energy to do
I do have to write I do have to write a Super Bowl review for Awful Announcing. I usually do that every year, so I'll probably be doing
all right. Well, let's do that next Monday, hopefully.
So let's see if we can do it on Monday. I will have the following Monday off, so we'll talk about it. You know what, Steven, I also have Saturday off, so if you want to do a special longer show on Saturday, if you're free, if you want to do it that way, and we can talk a little bit more about the game, we can definitely do that. But anyway, we've given our predictions. Thank you for watching us this week. I know we had to cut the show short, but we thank you for watching us here at the Double A Team, and we'll see you again next week. Don't forget to go to the channel. It's still at Fang's Bites, but it's called Ken Fang Sports Channel. So we certainly hope you watch us and see all of our archive videos there. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you very much, and we hope to join you next time, and we'll make sure it will be posted on X, possibly more likely to be focused on talking about the day after Super Bowl, the commercials, etc. And we'll be reading off Ken's Substack or Awful Announcing articles to kind of go over the game and the entertainment and the commercial. Till then, have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Double A Team podcast live stream. Have a great night and enjoy the rest of your week, everybody.
Good night.